Is it possible to have your best day in Costa Rica and your worst day in Costa Rica on the same day? I will answer that question on this end of September episode of Costa Rica Story. So here we are, it's the end of September here on Costa Rica Story. And every once in a while I like to do a little update, kind of summarize what's been going on, and that's what I'm going to be doing here. And I've got some cheat sheets here, so I'm trying to do less editing and do more just in the camera, and maybe I'll leave more of my stammering and mistakes on camera, and you can just fast forward through those. But seriously, this is a really big deal because my computer workstation has arrived. It took a month to get here. I used Get It Here Jerry. It was expensive to send it here, but I'm glad it's here. I did not include all my computer cables and things, so I still have to kind of get some more things before I can get going full force with that. But it's here, and I can use it a little bit, so I'll be doing that. Be doing more editing and hopefully more. I'll be more consistent with the videos. Okay, so that's the big news about September. September's huge, great news was the workstation. So now to answer that question that I posed at the beginning. Is it possible to have your best day in Costa Rica and your worst day in Costa Rica on the same day? You've probably already guessed the answer to that. For me, yeah, it was yes. Yes, it happened to me last Friday. And we'll talk about the best a little bit, and I'm just going to touch on the worst just a very tiny bit, and don't ask me about it because it was a bad part of the day. But the good part of the day, I got a hold of my friend Nathy, and she lives down in Golfito, and I drove down there, and she took me to this beautiful beach. It's something you need to know about Nathy. She's taken me a lot, and she's kind of my local guide. She's taken me to so many cool places, and it usually involves like a long ride and on a bumpy road with potholes, and we'll be driving somewhere where it seems like we shouldn't be driving. It's like, is this even a road? There's more potholes than road, up a mountain, down in a valley, wherever it is. But usually, no, not usually, always. It always ends up well worthwhile because there's some kind of natural wonder or beautiful view. And this time was no exception. We took a long drive, and then when we got to Puerto Jimenez, we took another long drive on this bumpy dirt road, and we got to this beach. And it was super duper fantastic, and we had the whole thing to ourselves for miles. There was beautiful waves coming in, and Nathy, her daughter, and I were playing Jenga on the beach, and her daughter was playing in the waves, and we're all playing in the waves. It was like, watching her daughter in the waves was like, that's the definition of Puerto Vida, because every time a wave came in, she'd start laughing and laughing, and we all had a great time at the beach, and that was wonderful. And then afterwards, we went to a restaurant. Nathy fed me some fish, which I've been trying to do. She had a fork with a little bit of fish on it. She stuck it in my mouth, and I ate it, and that was like, that was a breakthrough for me. I'm trying to eat better. So that was great, and it was great success, and that was wonderful. So now let's focus very, very briefly on my worst day in Costa Rica. And what I'll do, I'm going to make a long story short and tell you what the problem was. The problem is my GoPros and a lot of my stuff in my backpack got locked in a room in Golfito, and the lock broke, so I couldn't get to my stuff to get into the room, and there was no locksmith available, and it was a little bit of a nightmare. So I had to leave Golfito without my GoPros and my equipment and other things, my clothes, a lot of stuff. So I'm here back in Uvita, and I'm going to have to make a trip down to Golfito to pick up my GoPros and backpack when they finally get a locksmith to come and fix it. And that's still pending, and it's Wednesday as of now, so it's been a little bit stressful, and there's a whole long story, and I'm kind of too embarrassed even to talk about it. So don't ask me any questions about it, because I'm not going there. Maybe over beer I might tell you if we meet in person, but you know, that's it with that. But I learned a lot from this unfortunate incident, and I'm going to be doing some things differently and moving forward. Kind of the theme, moving forward. All right. I didn't even want to talk about that. I was wondering whether I should bring it up or not, but a friend of mine told me if I talk more about stuff that goes on in my personal life here in Costa Rica, that I would have way more subscribers, and I'm sure I would. But I know better than to go there. I know better than to go there. So I've kind of fallen back into one of my old bad habits of stress eating, because lately, this last month has really been stressful in a lot of levels. And if you follow this channel at all, you know my weakness, my big weakness is pizza. And as it turns out, Uvita has a really good pizza place called Pizza Time. And I've been hitting Pizza Time for a pizza there quite often, so much so they know my order as soon as I walk in the door. So I've got to cut down the pizza. I'm not gonna fall into that trap again. I'm not going to say I'm not going to eat any more pizza, but I'm going to be more responsible about my pizza consumption. Stress or no stress, that's not the solution. So, pizza, once in a while. I had some congestion in my ears, and I thought I had an ear infection, so I made my first visit to a doctor here in Costa Rica. I went and saw Dr. Vargas, who's just down the road here. She's very nice, and she speaks English, and she's very knowledgeable. And it turns out I thought I had maybe a swimmer's ear or an ear infection or something, but what it turns out, I've just got some allergies, and I've got some congestion, which I hadn't had till recently. So maybe there's some pollen that comes around in September that causes me to have congestion. But I'm always doing this, like, you know, popping your ears. But it was very easy. I mean, the good thing about Costa Rica is you don't have all these forms to fill out when you go to the doctor. You just go in and, you know, you give them your passport, and that's pretty much it, and you pay them. I think it was like 30 mil for the doctor visit, which isn't too bad. In the States, it probably would have been worse. So my progress with my Spanish, I guess I'm coming along slowly, but very, very slowly. I do a lot of Duolingo, the app, and I do a lot of YouTube stuff. And one of the things I do on YouTube is I listen to this thing called Learn Spanish While You Sleep. It's designed so, like, you go to bed and you leave it playing, and you can, I mean, it doesn't like hypnotize you and make you learn Spanish while you're sleeping, but it exposes you to it. And what I do, I play it through my iPad into the television, and I have it playing all day when I'm in the house. You know, while I'm in the house, I have it playing up on the television, and it gives you the words in Spanish, and it speaks it in Spanish, and it gives you the words in English and speaks it in English, or vice versa. But I just keep that running all the time, just to kind of bombard myself, because it is really important if you want to live a full life in here. If you want to live a full life here in Costa Rica, you have to learn Spanish, because if you don't learn Spanish, it will affect your personal life. It will affect your business life. It causes so many misunderstandings, because a translator can only do so much, and I've got myself into trouble with a translator. And I've gotten myself into trouble just without being able to answer somebody, and sometimes it's kind of humiliating when you're out in public, and you feel like a moron because you can't speak the language that everybody else is speaking. So if you're at home now and planning to move to Costa Rica, and you've got time, work on that Spanish really hard, because if I don't make it here in Costa Rica, that might be one of the reasons why, because it really is frustrating. Sometimes I just feel like throwing my hands up and giving up, but I'm not that kind of person. I have to give it the old college try, and I am working hard on learning my Spanish. As they tell me, poco a poco. One of the things I want to do next is get a rack for the Grand Vitara, so I can I either want to get a stand-up paddleboard, which I did a lot of back in the States, or a regular surfboard. I've been scanning Facebook Marketplace looking for a decent board, and hopefully soon I will have that, and hopefully I'll get my GoPros back, and I'll be able to do some fun footage with that. One of the things I want to do in October, I want to start going to the gym. There's a couple local gyms here. I'm trying to figure out which one would suit me best, and it's kind of tough with COVID, because you really don't want to be exposed to people too much, so it inhibits a lot of things like that, you know. So even any kind of social activity is kind of inhibited because you're like, oh, is it worth going? Because am I going to expose myself to COVID? And you know, it's just one of those things. You have to weigh the benefits and the risk. When I first got to Costa Rica, my goal was to have 1,000 subscribers by October. And I've fallen well short of that. I think I'm around 220. So my goal is to work on that a lot, get some more subscribers there, and I'm going to offer a lot more fun content. And if you guys are interested, I'm going to maybe start doing some lives, maybe do some lives at some of the cafes around here. But I've got to do it on my laptop because if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, you're limited to what you can do on the phone. If I had 1,000 subscribers, I could do a lot more. So that's the reason I want to get to 1,000. It's not just an ego thing. You just are allowed to do so many more things. And after I get to 1,000, I'm sure things are really going to take off here. But I need to offer some more content, and you know, with my drone down, with my GoPros gone, I'm a little bit short-handed here. So when I get that stuff working, I think I'm going to appreciate it that much more. So I'll be giving some awesome content here. So as part of my own Spanish education and to help others who are struggling, each episode I'm going to do a Spanish word of the day. And today's Spanish word of the day is desayuno. Desayuno. That's breakfast in Spanish. And I had the worst time with this word. I've been here for 5 months now, and I'll mispronounce it constantly. Like desayana, it's like, no, desayuno. It's spelled like that. Desayuno, breakfast. And think about it this. They say you know. That's how I remember it. They say you know. They say you know. Breakfast. They say you know. They say you know. I am so learning challenged, so I have to do things like that. And when I do get fluent in Spanish, it's going to be quite a miracle, but it'll be worth it in the long run because you really need Spanish here. All right, that's all I got for this episode of Costa Rica Story. Stay tuned. October is going to be a kick-butt kind of month here in Costa Rica Story. Share the channel.